Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we are going to be talking about the Q&A session. I do have two questions that I do want to answer. So if you guys want to have your questions answered in a video, all you have to do is go on X, okay? This is how we're going to be doing it from now on. Make an X account, right? And then put your question and put hashtag BMQA, okay? That is once again, hashtag BMQA, and then just tag me at the end, right? Just tag my username. I'll be able to see it and I'll be able to see your question and I'm going to answer it. And hopefully you guys get picked, right? I'm only going to be choosing about 2 or 3 questions every other day. And then I'm going to be screenshotting that exact question, put you guys on this video, and then just answer your guys' question. So once again, if you guys do have a question and you guys want me to respond, potentially, right? Because there's going to be like a 5 to 10% chance of that happening. Just put your question, put hashtag BMQA, and then tag me at the end, which is Barca_Media_. So let's do this, right? So let's talk about the first question, which is coming from XXVase2XXBG. And he has asked, hey Kevin, how do you think that Hansi Flick, his staff, and also the board will approach the Champions League next season? And do you think that this time, when we won all 3 domestic trophies, we should take the CL as our priority? Okay, so here's the thing, right? I understand why a lot of people want to see Barcelona win the Champions League. Obviously, it is a Champions League. And when you win the Champions League, it's always like a big conversation. It's always a big moment, right? Because the Champions League has always been something special. Every time we see the best of FC Barcelona, there's always a Champions League trophy included within that Barcelona team. Like in 2009, 2015, 2011, and so forth, right? So I understand. I really do understand the importance of the Champions League, but I would not sacrifice the domestic treble, like one of the trophies within the domestic treble, just to win the Champions League. I would not do that. And most importantly, I would definitely not sacrifice La Liga, okay? Because a lot of people have been saying that, you know, we should just put less importance on La Liga because we want to win the Champions League and we haven't won in 10 years. I think that that is ludicrous. That is just something that should never happen within this Barcelona team. And I believe that Hansi Flick, Deco, and John Laporta know that. I believe that the top priority and always should always be La Liga. So for example, if we have to face Real Madrid before we have to face, for example, Bayern Munich in a quarterfinal match, we want to prioritize doing well in La Liga, right? We cannot take that approach against Real Madrid and say we're going to be resting some players because we have to focus on the match against Bayern Munich for the quarterfinals and we want to go through and we want to go to the semifinals of the Champions League. That should never be our approach whatsoever. And I'm saying that because if we really think about it, okay, like really, like I want us to think about it. I really do think that winning the league is much harder than winning the Champions League. Why am I saying that? That is because we have to play more games to win La Liga. We have to be consistent through 34 to 38 matches. We have to be very consistent. We cannot be like, okay, if we win 13 games out of the 34, we win La Liga. No, it's not like that, because we can win 13 games to win the Champions League. So which one is harder, to win 34 to 38 matches or to win just 13 matches and you win the Champions League title? Which one is harder? It's harder to win the domestic league, to win La Liga, and that goes for Spain, Spain, England, Germany. The league is always harder because when you have knockout rounds, all you have to do is just win one knockout round and you go into the next round. It is much more difficult to win La Liga. It is much more difficult to win the Premier League. It is much more difficult to win the Bundesliga. And I believe that when a team wins the league, it showcases that you have been the most consistent. You have been the most on point. You have been the most, I would just say, in terms of consistency on man management and player management, you have been the best. And it showcases that you have been the best. That's just how it works. You're going to tell me that by the end of this season, if Inter Milan wins the Champions League trophy against PSG, you're going to tell me that overall, through the whole course of this season, Inter Milan have been the better team over FC Barcelona? Really? And so I would always prioritize La Liga. I would always prioritize the Copa del Rey. And the Spanish Super Cup, honestly, to be honest, like that's only like 2 matches. Like I don't see how that interferes with anything else. And it happens in January. It's nowhere near like the quarterfinal stages or the semifinal stages or the final stages of the Champions League. And so, you know, like it's way more difficult. And most importantly, your squad depth is being tested. Like the league is going to ask you, can you use your main starting 11 and can you also use the players behind that starting 11? Is your squad depth good enough? The league is going to ask you that. Champions League, no, it's only one game. You only need to be good for one game and you go into the next round. And so that's just how it is, right? Like obviously, you know, the Champions League in some capacity, they did improve because in the beginning stages, which is like the table that we have, it does showcase kind of like who is really the most consistent out of like all teams. Hence the reason why we saw Liverpool at the top, Barcelona at the top. We saw other teams at the top. We did not see PSG at the top, by the way, right? PSG were not there at the top. They have not been the most consistent. Inter Milan, in some capacity, they have been somewhere up there in the top 4 or 5, I believe. So they have shown some consistency in the Champions League, but it's not like a full season. It's not like 8 months of consistency that you must showcase. The Champions League does not test you on that. And so I'm not trying to say that the Champions League is not important, that it's a trash trophy. No, I still want to see Barcelona win the Champions League trophy. I want to see them still win La Liga. But if you were to ask me which one would you prioritize, it is La Liga over the Champions League, and it is the Copa del Rey over the Champions League. So if for whatever reason you just don't believe me, and you're like, Kevin, you're just saying that because you did not win the Champions League this season. Okay, let's look at the quotes of some coaches, right, about how they think about the league over the Champions League. Let's go to Pep Guardiola. He stated, winning the Premier League is harder than winning the Champions League. Winning 38 games is a lot different than just winning 6 to 7 games. There are a lot of weeks, matches, and injuries. Then let's talk about Zinedine Zidane, right? For the people who are Real Madrid fans and want to question me and say, you're only saying this because you did not win the Champions League. Zinedine Zidane also said the exact same thing. Somebody who has coached Real Madrid before and has won multiple Champions League trophies with Real Madrid. He stated, and I quote, "For me, the most important trophy is La Liga. It is the toughest. You need only 13 games in the Champions League, but have 38 weeks in the league." Let's go to Hansi Flick, who recently just won the domestic treble. La Liga is the most honest title. You have to play 38 matches, and if you finish first, you're the best and the most consistent. Now let's go back to another Real Madrid manager, Carlo Ancelotti. He has claimed, La Liga is more difficult to win than most top leagues, especially this season. Here, there are 3 teams fighting to win it at the same time. This league can be decided on the final day. And then let's talk about the one man that everybody, unfortunately, and I don't know why, does dislike, and that is Xavi Hernandez. And he has claimed, if you ask any coach, winning La Liga is the objective. Zidane used to say it after winning the Champions League, that the objective was La Liga. So, and that's basically it, right? I think Jurgen Klopp has made the same point about the Premier League he says something about like it's a super tricky marathon, right? It's extremely hard to win. Let me conclude it like this, and this is going to be the bottom line. Winning the Champions League crown rewards the team today. Winning La Liga rewards the team for the whole year. And let me put it like this. Can you imagine Barcelona? I'm just putting like a hypothetical, a fake scenario, right? This is something that has not ever existed, but this could go, and this is how it could go in the Champions League. Can you imagine if Barcelona defeated Inter Milan and Bayern Munich in the group stages, and they did well? They beat them 5-0 home and away, right? And then they go into the next round of 16 or quarterfinals. They defeat PSG 3-0. Okay, good. Next round. Let's go to let's face Manchester City. Okay, they defeat them 2-0. Okay, great. You go into the next round, and Aston Villa, who has been the dark horse, takes you down 1-0. Unfortunate, because you made one mistake, which was a red card from a random player, and it was just an ugly match. And Aston Villa just, I don't know, like they played a deep block, and they got one lucky goal in the early like 10 minutes, and you just had to go through that, deep block, and you just couldn't, and you got knocked out. You're gonna tell me that team should not be rewarded at all after defeating Inter Milan, Bayern, Arsenal, Manchester City? You're gonna really tell me that? You're gonna really tell me that Aston Villa ended up being better than FC Barcelona, even though they have defeated Bayern, Real Madrid, and all those other teams? Really? And so, no, bro. Like, I would much rather win La Liga over the Champions League. I don't want to prioritize the Champions League and sacrifice one of our trophies that we have won this season. If we do win the Champions League, I don't want to sacrifice anything. I want to win it all. Like, don't get me wrong. I want to win everything. I do want to win the Champions League next season, and I want Hansi Flick and Joan Laporta and Deco to strategize. How can we improve this summer that would allow us to go to the final of the Champions League? Because I care about the Champions League. I want to win. But it cannot come at the cost of us like losing one of the domestic trophies. No, that cannot happen. This is FC Barcelona. We go in and we win it all. And we win it in a very, I would just say, entertaining, most dominant way. And so that is it. That is going to be wrapping up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.